Right, I got this 2000 Corolla. I'm going to be removing the bumper. It's had a front little love tap, so I'm going to fix that up, fix the crack there up. I notice it's pushed in there a bit, so you can see it's bent in there. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. So first of all, I'm going to get the bumper off, and once we get that off, then I'll have to take the lights out. The structure itself looks pretty good, so I don't think there's any real damage, just a couple of soft bits that need to be straightened up so they can come forward again. So I'll have to fix up a couple of missing pieces on the side. I'm going to work on the front end first, so the bumper and this area. I can see there's damage here. I'm going to have to straighten that out. How I'm going to straighten it out, I'm not too sure yet, but I'll think of something. Get a better view at it if I take the lights in this piece out first. Indicator comes out there. Now we get the light out. Further into this car, I just want to show you what it looks like. So I'll be doing this door handle, and bit of rust in the tailgate there, hatch, boot, whatever you want to call that. Pretty much is in good condition. Mechanically she's fine. So then I'll be giving it a sand, and I'm gonna Rattle can spray it at the end, so make sure you check that out. Wouldn't be the first car I've done though. Actually, one car I've done in particular, Barina, it's 7 years ago and it still looks as good as the day I painted it. So it's based on the type of paint you use too. So I use Killrust. It takes, depending on what color it is, if it's white, it takes 4 hours to dry. If it's green, it took 8 hours to dry. So you've got to make sure that when you paint it, it stays in that place like a garage or something, and you just leave it alone and it comes out beautiful. Righto, so I can see with straightening this here, it would be good if I could pull that out, so that side there straightened out, because this side here you can see how it's kind of like nice and flush there. It's really straight. I'm talking about the part of the chassis there. This side here is pressed in, so I don't think I'll be able to straighten that out, but as long as I can get that bolt to line up, I could probably weld a plate or something in front of that to give that the flatness it needs there again. But what I'll do is I'll take this off. Pulling it from the front will be, you know, okay there, but this part's all going to be twisted up still, and I'm going to have to bend it past that point to straighten that out, and that'll end up ripping there. And just what I'll do is I'll take it off, probably end up grinding that off there, so I can have that one piece, straighten that out instead, and then weld this back together. Okay, so two 12mm nuts gets that side off there. I just undid that one side so I could pull against it, straighten it out. Got a bit of treatment to do here, a bit of rust. Just then you can see the distance there. Should be right. See Aussie way in it, should be right. So I'll get that. Now I can undo those two 12mm underneath there, get that off. I need to treat this, clean it up, whatever. Hopefully there's no through rust, just surface rust. Okay, so judging by this side here, I can get an idea of how it's supposed to be. So that's pretty flush there. And this side on that over here, that's bent back a little bit, and that needs to be pressed in. Right, before I continue on that side, I'm going to remove this, purely because there's a few spots bent that this is going to prevent me straightening it. So two 10mm on the side there, better I'll show you on the side, two 10mm on the side, one 10mm there, one 10mm there, sorry, to remove. To take this off, this side here is a little bit more of a challenge. I'm going to have to straighten that out so I can get the 10mm behind that off, but it's actually pretty easy to straighten out. All I did was grab onto here and give it a few good yanks, and that's straightened up enough, good enough to leave it as it is, I think, and get behind there now, undo that. To be honest, when I embarked on this job, I just thought it was a couple of pieces to straighten around here, fix up the bumper, and should be right, job done. I didn't know the damage behind, but that's with any job, eh? Like it looks like, oh yeah, I'll just tackle this bit. A lot of times, you know, it'll be a little bit of rust or something. You're like, oh yeah, I'll take the guard off to fix a bit of rust, and you go take it off, and you find a bigger job behind it. So I kind of did anticipate that. I was hoping that it wasn't, but I kind of had the feeling that there'd be more damage somewhere else behind there. This piece here, I didn't take into consideration. Didn't know that piece was there. These guys here, a bit of a pain in the butt to try and get behind, and this one here is easy enough, really stubborn turn though. And this one here, it's got all the cowling system and everything, the fan rather, in the way here. It's a bit tricky, and to get to that there, if I wanted to take it out, I'd have to take the condenser and everything out, and then that's buggering up the air conditioning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first try drilling this out, and if drilling it out doesn't work, then I'll get the grinder there, because it'd be a lot easier to get a nut and bolt in there, hold the nut on the outside and tighten it up, than it would be to try and put that back in and tighten it from the back again, because I already know it's going to be a struggle to get it off. To make it easier, we'll just get rid of that altogether. Good thing is you can take the mount there off the side here, and you can see it's nice and flush there, and how that's angled there, so that's what I have to work with. Now the angle part is pretty well right from when I pulled it straight, but I still got this bulge sticking out from when this popped out the other way. See how it's flush there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it along here, and probably can just press it in with a clamp or something. I'll straighten it out somewhere, one way or another, and then I have to weld it closed again, because to try and straighten that out, I'll whack that a few times with a hammer. And to be honest, if I've got a sledge or something, I could do that, but I don't know what damage I'll be doing to anything else, and it's really noisy, and you know, the best way to keep peace with the neighbours is not to piss them off. So, and I've got good neighbours, so what I'm going to do is cut that, you know, don't take long, not a lot of noise of a grinder, straighten it up and weld it back, so that fixes that part there up. I drilled out easy enough. The other side of the thread fell through, and just to safeguard myself against when drilling through this hole here that it wasn't going to go through any further, just used a couple of old lug nuts over the top of the drill bit, just to give me that bit of a what do you call it, like backing off there, just so I wouldn't go through anything I didn't want to go through. Okay, so now I've cut this, but it's a bit late in the afternoon now to be whacking that with a hammer, so I'm going to continue this tomorrow. Right, so another thing I'm doing in this car is the head unit. Now I'm going to change that to an Android, but the pieces for all this are in the car. I think they're in the glove box. Yeah, they're in the glove box. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to undo all this wiring, and I'm going to wire up this aftermarket kit that I've got into that, so if the stereo system in there ever stops working, or someone decides to swap it later on, that they can just plug in a harness into the aftermarket kit. Okay, so head unit's in, it's all good. Go home. If I put music on, then I'll have to face copyright rules, but I've already tested that. I'm just looking at this options on this head unit. Okay, so next bit is I just put all this in so you can see it all nicely finished, but that's basically the stereo in and all working. Turn this option on as well. I found that to be a handy thing to have. So you just press that center button to put it back to the center, or to the side there. You can control the volume and everything, go home from there. So I kind of like that. And you can move it around. If it's in your way in one area, just move it to somewhere else. Anyway, this is not a video about the head unit, this is a video about the part of what I'm doing to the car. I finished off with cutting this, and I'm going to clean it all up because I'm going to hit it all in and try and straighten it up. And so clean it up first so I can weld it afterwards. And at the same time when I start working on that, I'm going to cut this just on the outside there, try and straighten that up, and I'll probably have to plate it on the back and on the sides, but I'll just leave the front part as is. And yeah, I'll get into that. Well, that's probably the best I'm going to do with the welding. I know it's messy, but they're solid. So paint that, put that back on. Alright, so while I've got this part off the car, I think it's easier to get into it everywhere around. So I started off on the end here, slowly working my way up, and I'm up to here now. Now I'll be spraying this with enamel, and so it's a very slow drying paint, and any kinks and so forth, enamel tends to find its way in and settle smooth. So like, even though I've worked on a few areas where there's was stone chips pretty deep, a lot of it, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of it that a lot of little ones that I'm not going to be bothered about. This is not, you know, a $5,000 paint job. It's a couple $100 just to make the car nice again. And you know, I'm not really one for Rattle cans, but the paint I'm using, it's called Wattyl Killrust, and I've used it to paint 3 other cars, and stuff just stays on and lasts, and it's glossy for years. And the good part is, if you ever get a scratch or something, it's easy to find that paint again. But the last car I did was a green Barina, and that's still getting around. It still looks just as good as the day I painted it, and that was when I was living 2 houses ago, so about 5 years ago, something like that, 5-7 years ago. So that's what I'll be putting on this car. Unfortunately, you don't get a choice of colours. They're just main colours, whether it be red, blue, green. You don't get a choice of, I want a dark green or a light green or something. I suppose if I contacted them, I could probably ask, but then it would cost more, I'd imagine. So once I finish doing this, I'm going to have to use some clean rags. I'm going to give it a brush first, soapy water, get right into every single wear with soapy water, and give it a wash down. Then I'll use a clean rag with Windex or something like that, with ammonia free, to give it a nice wipe over, mainly the areas where I'm going to paint. And then I'm going to peg it somewhere or tie it somewhere to paint it. And I'll show you that this piece here, painting, I'm not going to try and do too much video because I need to get into the car and get it done. So too much video would take 3 times as long. Just showing you what I'm doing, basically. Just, you know, just little things like changing the head unit. You know, that's got a bit of footage in there that come in handy. Unfortunately, this has to be done by hand. There's no way you can get a machine onto this. Over the years, it's had a couple of coats of clear. It's like there's a different layer of clear over the top of the original clear. I'd say it's been a repair or something. So, with the whole car, I'll be using between 400 and 800 grit. Like 600 grit is enough for spraying 2-pack as well. So, I know if you really want a smooth, glossy shine on a showroom look, you'd go up the grits like 1500, 2000, something like that. But if you just want a nice looking car and that comes up good with a polish, then 400 or 600 is fine. Just gonna get smooth that one. It's 800 I'm working with at the moment. Last piece for this job. Funny how when you're using wet and dry, it's keeping on staying good, but at some point it becomes more like 1000 grit or 1200 grit from an 800. You know, and same with other grits. The more you use them, the finer they get. So now I'm biting into that now, but I wasn't a second ago. Guess I can take this opportunity to thank everyone for coming to my channel and watching what I do. A lot of times I try and stick to the rules, but you know, if I think of another way, I think of another way. And I know I get some comments that you know, why don't you just buy a brand new part? But when I make part videos about what you can use alternatively, there's people that don't have access to a lot of things. So if my ideas of how to work around something help somebody else, that's what it's about. It's not about me being able to go down the shop, buy a new part and replace it and make the job real simple. So weak. Yeah, I won't try and bend that until it's on the car, because that was really easy to bend that just that little bit just then. I'll wait till it's on the car. Anyway, that piece is done. Time for it to give it a wash and clean it off. And then I can paint that piece already, get that on its way. Well, sanding back, I've got to give it a good clean yet. You can see all the stain chips are in it now. I've never seen a bonnet look like that before. Makes me wonder where the car's been driven to get so many stain chips in the bonnet. Like, you surely don't get that from driving on the highways, that many. I guess it's 2000 model, 24 years, maybe. Pretty good car for a 24-year-old car though. But yeah, just that's all more of a stain now. Like the fingernail scratch on it, you can't feel it. That's smooth, but it looks stained. Anyway, you know, like rust sort of stain, but you know, there's only so much sanding you want to do. I'm going to get some wax and grease remover on that, clean it up properly. I can't use water on that there, or I prefer to use glass cleaner actually, but you can't use that on bare metal. It oxidizes it and it starts it to rust, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So thinners or wax and grease remover at this stage. Righto, so undercoat's down. Now it's not Killrust, which I normally use. It's grab it over here. I haven't used this product before, but apparently it's the same type of thing. It's also a rust inhibitor, and it's a undercoat or a sealer if you wish. It's going to be, I believe on the back of the can said something like 2 hours to touch dry, 16 hours before you can recoat. But I don't want to recoat, obviously. So tomorrow I can sand that. Now I know the outcome's not going to be showroom quality. I never planned on that. So probably about 80% of that product is going to come off when I'm sanding. Hopefully not to the metal. I don't want to go to the metal. I just want to go over the top. But a lot of product's going to come off. I just got to be careful around here, because up here I have the blue to guide me. Like when I get down to a blue, I know that I've gone deep enough. Over here I've just got to basically go over it lightly, make it all nice and smooth. It's just got to be like a self-judgment of that's about, you know, be about enough, and then I can paint it. I'm getting there. Now the weather doesn't help though. I was working on the back here, and I saw that there was a bit of a bubble happening there, and so I thought I can't paint over that because I'll just be covering over a problem, and I'm glad I did, because that could have turned into a serious problem. So at the moment that's treated rust. I'm going to get the wire brush and try and clean that up, make it all shiny as possible, so I can then re-body fill it and fill it over and do a proper job there. Okay, so this is where I'm at with it. I've been at it with a wire brush and a grinder, and having a go at it. I'm not going to get it any shinier than that. I just want to get all the imperfections out as much as possible. I don't think I'm going to get any more than what's out, because it's already treated with rust converter. That's just the metal gone black from the treatment. But around that I've gotten everywhere that it matters around it out. So body fill that up, get that sorted. Over a couple of things. While I'm applying bog to this area here, fixing up that problem, the whole panel here is kind of wonky and it's been bogged before. I'm not going to do the whole panel, so I'm just going to do the best I can here to kind of blend in, but I know that's going to look like the car's been hit or something at some point. You know, that's just the way it is. A great big flat spot there, and then it curves, and the whole panel's like that. And for me to fix that, I'd really have to spend a couple of days sanding and reapplying bog and smoothing this out, making it to shape. So I'm just going to focus on this area here. Now, when mixing your bog or body filler, I like to use two different tools. This one here for mixing, and like this for applying. And the reason being is because if I was to use this for mixing as well as applying, then constantly doing this basically gives it like a rough edge like this already has. Once I've mixed a certain amount, I always like to mix a little bit more than what I need, so I have a nice thick bit of bog left over on both the mixer and the applier, so that way it's easy to get the bog back off. And I'll show you that after I've applied this bit of bog. And one other thing, you notice that this is stainless because it's easy just to go, get as much of it off as you can, and then get the polishing part, or polishing grinder blade, and just smooth it off again, ready to go again, instead of using cardboard, paper, plastic, whatever that you got to keep on replacing. I can just reuse that same sheet of stainless over and over. Okay, I'll try and show this quickly. So I've got a fair bit of hardener on there to mix with. If the weather was hotter, I would only use half that amount, but I'm working with, the temperature today is 19 degrees, so and a little bit more hardener so it gets nice and hot and dries faster. You can see basically when I take it off the stainless, I can pretty much have that clean when I'm finished mixing all this. Now I just hang the tools up for the bog to harden, for the body filler to harden. Then I can just break that off and the parts are clean again, ready to go for next time. So this is what I meant by leaving a fair bit behind on there. See, it just flakes off. If you try and get it all onto the panel and you got very fine left over, then what you end up doing is trying to use sandpaper or something to try and clean it off, and that's just too painful. You leave a fair amount on and it all just flakes off. Okay, so at the moment I'm doing a dry sand everywhere where it's been shiny or whatever left over. I haven't done this bottom part yet, and under here I've already gone around the tops with well, most of the area with wet and dry, and now we're going around here, and because this has still got a good coat of clear coat on it, I'm not going to go too hard on it. Basically scuffing it up. Currently using a 320 grit sandpaper. I won't be going anything coarser or finer than that, because when this is on, it's that, it's not 320 anymore. It becomes more like probably 500 because of the speed of the sander. So yeah, at the moment it's going over around here. It's all, I've already cleaned it all up with wax and grease remover and also a window cleaner. So yeah, but it's important to do, even if it's just like a rattle can paint job that I'm doing, prep work is the most important part, because if you don't prep it properly, then the paint's not going to stick and you've just wasted your time. But at the moment, I've done the bonnet and it's looking really good. So I'm going to do these panels here. Can't do the whole car in one hit. That's a problem with rattle cans as well. You probably could if you had a closed shed. I've got tarp there trying to close off the wind, a couple of blocks over there, just trying to block the wind going through here. If I had a spray booth or something, I could probably prep it and just put the paint into a gun and spray it in one hit. But doing it outside like this, I've got no choice but to do section by section. Most of the car's already done. Just got to go over some certain spots, mask it off and finish painting. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but this part of the door and here, it's got a really bad orange peel. So the car's been painted after manufacture as well, because you can, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's like I'm getting the tops of the orange peel, it's not going all the way in. So that's not a problem. I just sand it like this part here and get 80-90% of it down. What's in between won't matter because it's going to be nice and clean anyway. Alright, so what I'm doing now is just going to go over it, clean it all off with wax and grease remover, have a feel around, do the thumbnail test to see if there's any kinks or anything that might need sanding back a bit more, any shiny spots I need to go over. I can't see it with all the dust in the way, so give it a clean and finish off the sanding before I give it a final clean and paint. I'll put wax and grease remover in a jar like this because it's cost effective. If I've got a spray can, it sprays out too fast, I use too much material. I've got more control when using something like this. You probably notice I'm using a dirty or a stained, it's not dirty, it's just stained rag over this. It's because I'm not doing the final finish yet. I'm going to be using clean cloths when doing the final part of the clean. Right now I just want to get the dust off. Alright, nearly there. Does take a bit of effort, but I've masked the doors off because I want to be able to open them and close them during the process. Now, mask off around here, doors closed. You know, it's going to be spraying up in here, and you don't want it to be like only half a spray job along here, so you need to spray along there. This part here won't be getting touched because when the door's closed, it's going to be spraying against there. So I've masked off where I don't want paint to get here, because I will be again holding cardboard along here to paint this section here. But then when I close the door, there'll be a little bit of overspray that gets in, but it's masked off. Getting there. Prepping takes forever, but that's just the way it is, isn't it? Okay, so what I'm using now is a glass cleaner. I've gone over it a couple times already with wax and grease remover and glass cleaner, certain different times cleaning it up and so forth. I'm doing my last clean now with glass cleaner. I'm going to take off this handle like the other one, and we'll get ready into painting soon. I'm just using paper towels to go over it, because it needs to be like it's only a 400, well, kind of different, 320, 400, 800, depends on which part of the car I was sanding. Trying not to touch it with my hand, just so I don't get any oils from my skin onto the job. Probably wouldn't matter, I just take that precaution. The carpet I've done underneath there, I don't know if you can see it, under the car, is for overspray, so I don't want to get any, well, avoid overspray from onto the tiles. Gurney will get most of it up. Stuff now. This is great stuff. but a lot of the time, I was lucky that time, a lot of the time when the plastic gets to the tape, you got to cut off a whole bunch. And there's a little bit of blue dust there, caught my eye. Okay, from when I did the bonnet, I've got a couple of cans here that's got about a third of paint left in them. Reason being because when painting the bonnet, the paint gets to a certain point where it's going to start spatting. So you know that when you get to a certain point by the way it's behaving, like, alright, that can's done because you can't hold it like that any longer. Use it for a different spot of the car. Very transparent, this blue. Not like the green I used. The green I used was really easy to cover. Coffin. Still a little bit of paint in there, but when it gets to a certain point, you're like, no, you don't get any further. Different angle for different light. It's pretty good, but I'll just get a bit more. Like I said, it's very transparent. I guess the beauty part is, if I did happen to miss a spot somewhere, you can mask off just that one area and use the same paint. This one's got a better spray nozzle. Beautiful. Okay. Not going to do any more. That's it. I can see a run down here. No big deal, really. But that's an indication to me enough. Don't do any more. I don't normally get runs, so I'm a bit disappointed with myself. Like I said, once the majority of the car is done, once it's all done, if there's a particular area like, oh, I'm not real happy about that, you can just do the one door later on or something. But right now I'm trying to get the whole car done ASAP. A mate of mine needs the car, and I told him that I'd fix it up and paint it for him. Told him how I was going to paint it and so forth, so he knows it's a rattle can job. I just want the car to be respectable for him. And to clean the nozzles, obviously. And clear them out, make sure they're nice and clean. Get your paper towel or something, and the ends off. Alright, we've got to find any troublemakers, meaning my cats. Lock them up because that's going to be at least 4 hours before it's touch dry. And there you go, once removing those 10 mils, it basically fell off. Okay, so the process was removing that plastic piece in the middle there to uncover these parts here, remove the speaker covers, fold the seats forward, remove the carpet, and then these parts unclip, remove the two 10mm bolts on both sides, and these two unclip, allowing you to access the 10mm behind there, which you remove, and then job's done. Now I'll just take a minute to show you the paint. Now this stuff here, it's a very slow drying paint, and like I said, each colour has its own drying times. They're not all the same. I don't know why that is, but depending on the colour, that is depending on the drying time. But I use this stuff everywhere. Once it's on, it stays on and it stays shiny for years. It's awesome stuff. And I've not only used it on cars and trailers, but also my son's bike, probably about, I don't know, did that about 6 years ago now, but you know, just showing you, I use this paint on everything. When I want a paint to stay good for a long time, I'll get this stuff. But fiberglass at the end, solid fix. Just this bit here, I'm just trying to straighten it out, just so it looks a bit better. I don't know how good a job I can do, but I'll just give it a go. Okay, so through the process of painting this car, I want about the paint in here as well. You can see we've got rust starting to come through. They all do the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's a van or if it's a hatchback. They all get to start to build up rust behind here. I don't know why they don't double spray this area or whatever to give that area more protection. They always end up with the same problem. This paint here, now I don't normally find this problem, but this particular colour here, the tips, I don't know why it would be of this particular colour, or of that. It's just this point in the market. Probably just this point in time in the market. I'd say other colours are probably doing the same thing at the moment. You use one can and it's got a nice wide fan on it. You know, it's got a nice wide fan on it, so you get a nice area. And then other nozzles, they're giving you a thin. So you've got to work with it like, I don't know. You just got to do it. I can't teach this. It's just something you learn by doing it a lot. When you got a smaller nozzle, you got to try and separate. Don't overlay too much. Go line and then a line. But if it's got a fan, then you can do like a 50% overlay. So something that you just pick up. But anyway, I got this far with the doors and the guard and the bonnet and everything's looking sweet. But anyway, I've still got the back to go and I'm busy cleaning. This area I'm going to have to, because the blue is so transparent, I'm going to have to give this area a coat first and then come back at the following day. Still a little bit of sanding to go up here. And my fuel cap problem is what's getting me at the moment. I've got more sanding to do over here as well. I'm probably going to use overspray to paint this area. So paint it from a further distance, mask this whole area off and paint it from a further distance, so the overspray gets into all the spots where you'd say you don't want it to get into normally. in this case, I want overspray to get into all those little areas, to try and paint in this area here, because trying masking all this off, closing the door, and not knowing how the paint will reside inside, I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to have to try and do an overspray spray in that area. Areas like this, I can't remove this rubber. Well, I probably could remove the whole window to do a repair here properly, but it is treated and it is covered, and it is going to look a little bit ugly when it's finished. But for this job, it's going to be a little bit more sanding, and it's going to be the best it is. But you can see I've taken the doors and guard off this side because I don't want to have another run like I did on that guard. So before painting, I'm just letting the can sit in the sun for about 10 minutes. Just let the paint warm up a little bit because it was cold last night, about 5 degrees. And it's been sitting in the shed, so it's pretty cold. And I just want to let that warm up before I paint it onto the car. Over 15 degrees is good. You can feel it in your hand when it's too cold and when it's comfortable. It's, again, not something I can teach us. You got to just do this type of thing and you get to know it. Okay, so it's all masked off areas that I want to not get paint on just yet. The doors masked off as best I can. I don't want to get this area painted, but obviously some parts have to be. I'll start working with this area here first. And I'm standing a distance, probably going to spray from about 40 centimeters away just to get some good overspray. Okay, that's about all I can do. And a bit more than I can see. Okay. And the door's not touching anything on the inside there, you know. Okay. I now have to leave it alone for 4 hours until it's touch dry, and then I can take the tape away. So that's what I was pretty much focusing on there. So I could have left it alone and just painted over the top of the door, but then when you open the door you would have seen that it's overspray inside. It's not really looking that flash. At least this way, when the rest of the car is painted and you open up the door, it's one with the car, so to speak. It's going to look better. So now I can just walk away from this, focus on the guard. When you're using spray packs, always can foot down, spray it until the paint's gone, you know, nice and clear, and then clean the nozzle so you don't get any mock-ups. Now, if I don't clean this, paint builds up when you're spraying, then it starts spitting and it becomes a big mess. You must always think of the nozzle, keep it clean. Even when you're doing a job, you can, like, you'll be busy doing a job and think, just mentally you're like, okay, time to clean that nozzle because you don't want any build up spitting paint onto the job. And just to show you here, so that door is finished, that back door. It's got 2 coats on it. Because this part's in the shed, I can take my time with it a little bit easier. The driver's door, front passenger door is waiting for a 2nd coat. I need to finish. There's a couple of spots on the front here that I need to sand, just because stone chips. But the rest of the guard is cleaned, finished. So that's almost ready to be painted. So I'm going to give the guard a coat of paint today, the front door a 2nd coat today, and the passenger door is covered just so any overspray doesn't come on it. I don't really have a place to put it other than back on the car, so that's why I just thought I'll just cover it so I won't have to worry about damaging it and having to come back to it and, you know, just unnecessary work. So I don't really have a way to show you other than maybe when I'm painting the guard, I'll try and get the tripod up And just watch me paint the guard, and I'll try and explain what I mean by the nozzle size as I'm painting that. Actually, the driver's doors would have been finished if I'd given enough paint along the end there. But when I came back with a torch, I could see that it needs more along the top edge there. Other than that, the rest of the door was done, but you can't just paint the top edge. You've got to do the whole door. So that will be just a nice easy coat, not too thick, just to finish that off. But to top it all off, guys, today's my wedding anniversary, 15 years. Totally forgot. I've been so focused on this car. So, and the missus says, it's alright, just keep going. But I kind of feel bad too, but it is what it is, eh? Alright, so I'll set up the tripod a little bit later. I'm just going to go sit with the missus right now. So, this is where I'm at right now. So, I've just covered the door completely now, so before I paint I don't get any overspray on the window there. The guard, I've sanded down the front there from the stone chips. I've already painted the inside here. You can see the blue there. Had the guard the other way around and painted the inside so it matches the car, because the other guard is also painted exactly the same on the inside. So had it flipped over and already masked off and painted that section. And the door there is looking really good. I don't think I need to do anything with it other than just to give it another coat. And dust is a factor, so try not to stir up anything in here that's gonna cause dust, but that's looking pretty smick. I wasn't going to do this, but I had a comment, someone asking me about do I have any tips of painting with a rattle can, so I figured, well, I might as well include this then. It does make it for a longer video, and I'm not really much of an educator when it comes to painting. I've just done it my own way, and you know, some people might agree, some people might not, but the end result, it works. I do have all the gear to do a proper paint job, but I no longer live where I have a double lock-up garage where I could turn it into a spray booth, so to speak. So a couple of grand's worth of equipment just sitting there not being used at the moment, but I won't get rid of it. I've already cleaned this guard multiple times, but because I just did some sanding, I had to do slow sanding as well. I was using the window cleaner while I was sanding instead of water. The most important part is just making sure it's clean. This paint will stick to anything. So even if I didn't sand it, as long as it's spotless clean, I could paint over it. My cat wants to come inside. Good luck with that. I don't know if you heard it on the microphone there. There. Got a bit of blue on the cloth, a bit of dust was there. I'm just using standard paper towels, nothing special. Topic on my cat. I don't know if anybody else has a cat like this, but anyone got a cat that's like a dog? This thing wants to come with me everywhere. Whether I go for a drive or whatever, this cat wants to come with me. It's like having a dog. That's why she wants to come inside here right now. She wants to be with me. And it makes it real challenging when you're trying to paint a car, because cats like to jump on the roof. So I've got to lock her up. And this paint isn't very fast drying. mentioned a couple of times. It's 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours being temperature before it's touch dry, 14 hours before you can recoat. So you really do need your patience. I was just contemplating just then, there's a scratch there, I'm not going to worry about that. It's only a little scratch. The paint probably sink into it. But I was just contemplating, should I edit this footage or just leave it all in there? This part of the footage, that is. Most of it's going to be edited. Keep out all the in-between parts so I don't waste anyone's time. The good thing about this paint is you could sand, say with 320, even though it's rough, this paint just settles smooth. It is enamel, so there's not going to be any clear coat. It's a high gloss enamel. What was it? You see what I mean? There's a couple of spots there that I could sand right down, but the paint will settle into them. So that spot there. I'll clean it again and see if I come across that one spot that I didn't like over there. Now it says on the paint can to use Turps when cleaning before painting, but I'm not real keen on using Turps before painting. And this paint is mostly acetone. It's just a real tough, high gloss paint when finished and lasts for years. I honestly thought I'd done all this on the outside to avoid having to do it in here. That's good enough. Hope you can hear me alright. I can definitely hear the people outside alright, so hopefully you can't hear them, more to the point. Yeah, on top of everything else, I'm not well at the moment. Got a whole bunch of things in my life that's taken effect right now. My 13-year-old daughter thinks that she's old enough to date and get a job. My mum's next door neighbour is exploiting her, wanting her to pay him $100 a week. I've been spending a lot of time at the police station and everything. It's just, ever since I took this job on, everything comes raining down. But that's life, eh? Won't let it stop me. I don't want to bore you. Try and stay on topic. No clean. Can't clean too much, I tell you. You make sure the prep work is done. If you don't want to put the time into it, this is not a job for you. You need a lot of patience with this particular paint. That rubber off, and I'll give it one more clean after that. This area here has already been cleaned before, and you don't see that area, so I'll focus on the area that you do see cleaning, but other parts have been already cleaned. In case you're wondering, I don't know if you can see it, I've got tar and everything on the floor. Stop paint going to the floor, because this paint, it will stick well. Now I know I don't need to go so deep into this with cleaning, I know the paint's going to stick to this as it is right now, but just you do a job thorough. Do the best job you can, you get good results. And all this is for a mate of mine. He can no longer do this kind of thing, and he's looked after me, he's helped me out a lot, so he deserves a nice car. It originally was his car, actually. I did a swap with him, but his brother had an accident and he wondered if I still had it, and I said, yeah, I've still got it. He wants to buy it back off me, and I said, that's okay, just let me fix it up first before I get it back. I'm going to give it a dry rub now, not to dry up any glass cleaner. This is basically just making sure that there's any flakes of dust or whatever, that I've got it all. I'm going to just let that rest for 5 minutes just to make sure that if there is any wet glass cleaner somewhere, this is it, no. And then give it a coat. I'm just going to get 2 coats. So the first coat is just going to be a cover, basically because it's going to, because the blue is transparent, it's not going to cover that in one hit like it will for everywhere else. So there's going to be 2 coats in that area there, so I'll do the whole guard of 2 coats. The door's already getting 2 coats, like I mentioned before, because I didn't spray one area enough. I was more concerned about getting runs, so the door will be getting another coat. This will get 2 coats. That door's got 2 coats. That door's ready to go back on the car. These 2 will both be ready to go back on the car tomorrow. The door will be ready to go back on the car tomorrow morning, but this one will need a second coat, so tomorrow afternoon this one will be ready to go back on the car. So now I can focus on the car, and like you just saw in the footage before this, I've just painted the fuel cap, so there's 4 hours before I can do anything there on that part of the car. But on the other side of the car I can start working on other things like masking, cleaning, and things like that, getting ready. I've got 2 half cans here. One has a narrow spray, the other one has a wide spray. I want to find out which one's which. I guess no better place than the guard, eh? That's the narrow spray. The reason why I'm trying to use these cans and not the full can, because when you're on the roof, I've mentioned it before, doing the bonnet, you hold it like that doing the roof, so you only get to use half a can. With these here I have the advantage of swapping out. That covers pretty good actually, isn't it? That's empty enough to swap. Still got probably one big fat can in here. Never let it run all the way down. You can always use the, how much there that is, maybe a good spray. Yeah, if you try and use the can to the very last drop, it spits and spatters and carries on, and you just ruin it. Nice when you get a nice pan. bit from the can right there. You can't see it, but I can. Okay, that's enough for the guard because it's going to have a second coat. Over the door, I'm not touching it, just painting straight onto it. Time to clean that nozzle. I just know it is. So yeah, how to keep good up on the nozzle. That's pretty for it. Give it a bit of clean. Clean up the bump in here. I do have overalls, but I should have put them on. If I was using a 2-pack, I'd be having my other mask one. But this is not very, if you did get fumes in the air, it would probably be better. But it's a lot easier just to put this mask on. That's still good measure. The beauty part about taking so long to dry is that all the overspray becomes part of the job. It just gets drawn into it. Okay. You can hear me walking around now. I'm not real happy about that cut there. Hopefully I can. There we go. Better lighting from this angle, I think. These parts out, we're happy there. Alrighty. Don't have to worry about runs too much when it's flat either. So there's a whole bunch of paint on there now. And the guard's ready for a second coat. I'll leave them alone for 4 hours before coming to check up on them. And that's it. So I'm not going to keep on making videos of painting, but hopefully I covered a fair bit in that one section here. Just to chuck this in, I find this interesting. It's you can see where the roof was joined. from that there, because that's all nice and smooth, but obviously there must be like a something there to, when you're sanding, it's not going all the way deep down there. So that's the line there for where the roof joined. Irrelevant, I just found that interesting. Okay, so I'm busy masking up the car, prepping it today because well, Google says that it's not going to rain, but I'm pretty sure, judging by that, it's going to. So I'm just prepping today, painting tomorrow. I've got more work to do, like in this area here. I've got to make that a bit more smoother. But I just wanted to show you is masking up. Now, I've masked the area first, and then I've gone over it with the plastic. But certain areas that I know that are going to come undone, like when you come into the corners and so forth, I'm doing this, just overlapping a little bit, so stop it from coming off. And say I've got this area here pretty much finished, but I just wanted to show you how I'm doing this to get that around there. So what I'm doing down here is I'm going to be masking off around here, so I'm going to go above that. Like so, and then I'll get the plastic, bring it down, stick it onto that. That was a mess up, that one, but anyway, that's the idea. Do another one. Doesn't matter, I messed up a little bit because I'm going to be remasking there as well. So I'll come over here, do a bit more, hold that a little back, like so, and that's what's getting me around the edges like that there, just to get this bit out of my way. And so that part there I can just go straight onto there then. I don't want to do too much more footage of what I'm doing because I'm trying to get this car finished. And making videos does slow you up quite a bit. So I just record what I think is important to share a little bit. And then I can come down here. So I'm masking off down here, so masking off a little bit higher first, just so I can get this under control, and then I'll come and remask to the line where I want it to be. And that's pretty much it. That's I'm going over everywhere I'm masking off that I don't want paint to get into. Clearly I don't want paint in the car. Alrighty. Tell you what, this reflector sticker is really hard to get off, and there's lots of clear lifting with the bumper. This is the rear bumper. So what I'm going to do is because the corner, not that side, the other side is pretty rough as well, that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of sanding, probably a bit of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Raptor on the top part and normal paint on the bottom, or smooth on the bottom I should say, and then I paint the whole thing with the one colour after the Raptor's on. But it's going to have two coats. Let it dry for a day with the Raptor to make sure the Raptor's 100% dry, then coat it, and I'll go 2 coats with this one. Just this is where I'm at with the car. This corner here is really making it an easy job hard, because I'm trying to get all this straightened out. The roof and everything's ready to be painted, the car's all masked up. It's just this corner here that needs to be done left, and that hatch, which the stickers are going to be the hard part to get off there. The words are going to be removed, so it's going to be blank there. You'll have to put badges back on yourself if you want to. That's not a must. The bumper will be painted, the rear bumper will be painted today, but you can see the doors and that over there, they're all ready to go back on the car. So it's basically, this side's all done, roof's done, this side's all done. It's ready to paint basically, except for I've been sanding this for ages trying to get it all sorted out, and I can still feel that it's not quite right. And yeah, I want it to be the best I can, but I'm at the point where I'm thinking maybe I'll have to mask it off from about here across and spray Raptor there to hide imperfections when I spray it, but that means that there'll be a rough edge there. I mentioned before that I've got to run right there. See that? There's a run right there. So, a bit disappointed with myself for that, but it's the only run on the whole car. So, it's not in a real visible spot area either, so I'm not going to repaint the guard just for that one thing. But yeah, for the rest, cheering. And the finished product. Well, that hard work pays off. Just got to not rush things. I just gave it a wash with our turtle wax and wash. Not looking too bad. She does need a bit of a tidy up inside. The other seat cover put back on, or put on. Give her a clean up inside now, and job's done. I wrapped the in panels as well. New car mats. Yeah, looking sweet. While I was driving the car, the AC worked perfect. I've had it parked up for, I don't know, about 8 months or so, and testing the air conditioner, it's not working now, so must have a very slow leak. So I'm just going to give it a recharge at -30. I still have a can around before I send it back to its original owner. Okay, I believe I found the problem. As soon as I vacuumed the system, released the line, the valve was, you could hear the hissing of the valve. Put my finger over it and you could feel the suction coming back into that valve there, so replace that. That should solve the problem with it leaking again. Okay, so that's the materials I used, apart from the sandpaper, that is. I can't really show you how much sandpaper I used because I was kind of like throwing it away as I was going through it and cleaning up other rubbish. But all these cans, we got probably about maybe 1/5 of the can left. It's kind of like, I can feel that it's probably about here on the level. Yeah, not very much, but I would say I've got enough to redo my lawnmower. So while it's winter and I'm not mowing the lawn, I'm going to get the lawnmower in here, pull it apart, spray the base because it's looking pretty crappy. But anyway, 12 cans of Killrust with about that much left, or close to the camera makes it look like a lot, doesn't it? Probably about, 20 mil at the bottom left on each can. 2.5 cans of Raptor. Mostly the can of undercoat, bit of body filler, and a lot of sanding and elbow grease went into it to get the job to where it is. And the reason being, each can has a little bit left over, is like I explained during the video, is that you don't want to use the whole can, because when you get to the very end, it coughs and splatters. And I'll say it again, once it gets to about here, hold on that level there, sorry. Once it gets to about here, you can feel the weight of it. You're holding it like that, it's going to start coughing and splattering, because it kind of like, levels out. That's when the can becomes an upright can only. You don't want to keep on going and coughs and splatters. And once it gets to what it is now, to about probably where the top of that sticker is, about that high, that's when you stop using the can, because again, when you're trying to use it upright, it's going to cough and spatter. Unless it's in an area that is not really seen, like under the car, then go for it. But if it's going to be on a panel or something, you've always got to leave some left in the can. Don't go to the end, because then you get coughs and spatters. It'll probably look a mess, and you're trying to touch it up, then you get runs, and that's when it all happens. And also, when painting, if you miss a spot, like I did on the door, if you miss a spot, don't come back to it straight away while the rest of the paint is wet to try and fix it up. You're going to have to wait, let the panel dry, and then come back to it like I did and give it a second coat, and make sure you cover that area that you missed on the first coat. Job done. Thanks for following, guys. Catch us in the next one. Cheers.